I've just watched a documentary called Our Silent Emergency, presented by a young Roman Kemp, Martin Kemp, his son. Absolutely incredible documentary about suicide in young men, or suicide in men. Incredibly powerful, moving, touching, sobering, informative. Just a very good program, and I do recommend that you watch it if you haven't seen it before, if you're interested, or even if you're not interested. But I think it's a must see for all of us. And what the program does is something that I aspire to do in myself, is to normalize our conversation around the subject of suicide, so that suicide becomes less of a taboo in our language, and in our way of communicating with each other, that we're able to speak openly about our feelings of suicide, our thoughts about suicide, and importantly to be able to listen and hear when others speak about suicide and their desires to complete their suicide. So yeah, I do recommend you watch the film. And what it's done is prompted me to actually repost a film that I made earlier this week, oddly enough, about suicide and my thoughts about what it means for me. I did put it up on YouTube, and then I took it down almost immediately because I was nervous about putting it out there. But because of this documentary on BBC Three, which was aired very recently, I feel okay about sharing my YouTube film, and I hope I hope it's interesting for you to watch it. So that's the film following this introduction. I just want to also say that I'm okay. I'm okay. It was tough over the last 8 or 9 days previous to this, but now I'm doing okay, and I've worked through the issue of suicide that I was dealing with, and I understand what's happening for me, and I feel a lot safer, and well, just generally I am okay, and yeah, getting back to where I was before, which was in a healthy position, in a healthy place. So please don't worry about me, and I'll put all the necessary links in the description below this video with regard to the support you can find if you're struggling with your mental health and you have thoughts about suicide, and I'll certainly put a link to the BBC Three film as well. So okay. I hope that makes sense, and again, thanks for watching my films, and yeah, so here's the film I posted earlier this week. Cheerio then. Hello folks, it's a Monday morning, and instead of working I'm out on the sea again. Beautifully calm morning this morning. Would have been a great shame not to just come out for a few hours and enjoy the sea and the space and the solitude. I'm at the southern end of Carve Island, or the bottom end of Carve Island, gazing out across the Sound of Mull. Just wondering what to do really, whether to just go around the island or cut across the Sound of Mull to Orliston Point and have a mooch around there and then paddle back. But my mood is very low at the moment and I'm struggling to find motivation to do anything, to be honest. It took quite a lot of effort to come out kayaking this morning, that's for certain, and so I'm glad I'm here. I had to give myself a bit of a talking to this morning in terms of motivating myself to get myself together and come down to the water's edge and get my boat ready and head out. But it is so wonderful and so peaceful and so lovely. I think what I'll do is just drift down the side of the island. Just enjoy being on the water, I think. See what I see. I think it's important for me in making these films to be honest and portray myself as I am, wear my heart on my sleeve, particularly when I'm talking about mental health, because it would be very easy for me to paint a picture of happiness, Instagram picture of happiness and an Instagram picture of the good life. But this last 7 days, I've been struggling with a deep low mood, and I've not been feeling very good at all. I'm not worried that I'm getting depressed. I know it is my depression that is causing me to feel what I'm feeling. I'm confident that this mood will shift and I will return to the level of confidence and happiness that I was feeling 2 weeks ago, I think, when I did my last film. But tragically, a week ago, a member of our community here in Tobermory completed his suicide. I didn't know him. Personally, I didn't know him. But his suicide has had a huge effect on me. Far greater than I ever imagined. And I have found myself this week weeping and then sobbing for no apparent reason at times. I've been working at the table making my jewellery, and I just suddenly find my shoulders heaving with uncontrollable sobs. of deep sadness. And I think it's because I still hold on, I still hold on to the possibility that one day I might complete my suicide. And it worries me that when I heard of his suicide, when I heard that his body had been found, my immediate thoughts were of envy and admiration for him, and then sadness. Even though I know I don't want to die, I envy him having finally found the peace that he obviously was fighting for, and the peace from the internal turmoil that he was really struggling against. And even though I am a lot better than I was, there isn't a day when I don't find myself encountering internal turmoil at some level or another. This time though, of course, I'm far more better equipped because of my therapy over the last 6 months to cope with it. But this man's suicide has brought to the fore, I guess, those darkest thoughts that I've had, those thoughts and feelings I have within myself. And I've struggled to shake those off this week. I've struggled to stop thinking about them. I've struggled to to be objective. And so I find myself right now in this moment lacking energy and positive focus, I think. Which adds to the self-recrimination that I hold for myself. A sense of self-loathing that I have for myself. My inability to be positive, to live positively. I want to speak about suicide because I think it's important that it's a subject that as a society we become more comfortable, if comfortable is the right word, but more comfortable or at ease addressing. I think it's a subject that that many people find discomforting, and which is why that, you know, for many people in my position, myself, you know, struggling with thoughts of suicide, find it difficult to express that there are times when the thought of taking my life or our lives, or I could speak for myself, I'll speak for myself, I can't speak for anybody else. The thought of taking my life is at the uppermost in my mind, and I find myself in a position of coming up with reasons why I should stay alive, rather than, you know, why, you know, I shouldn't take my life. I'm not at danger at the moment. You know, I understand my depression and I understand my suicidal thinking enough to know that I'm safe at the moment. I'm not at that impulsive stage where the feeling of wanting to end my life is stronger than the feeling of wanting to stay alive. But I am thinking about it far more than I had been recently. You know, I'm confident that this will work through, and even as I'm speaking I can feel a lifting within me. And certainly having come out in my kayak has certainly helped. You know, because coming out here is my, as I keep saying, is my nature cure. And it's good for me to gain a sense of perspective for myself by coming into this landscape and seascape and experiencing some solitude in my kayak. But I think it's also good for me to be honest and be open about the fact that my recovery from my depression isn't going to be a linear process. That it's not going to be an easy A to B, B to C, D to E. That there are going to be times when I'm going to dip quite remarkably, as I have done now. So as a result of the last week, I found myself disengaging with my life in many respects, apart from my creativity and my jewelry, and I found that really helped me. You know, I've managed to focus on that work, and I've enjoyed being creative, and it was really rewarding on Friday when I put up a few pictures of some of my work, and that day I did very well in sales. You know, people obviously liked what they saw, and I sold quite a lot that day, which was very, very rewarding, and that did me the world of good. But it's very easy for me at the moment to be very self-critical of myself. Don't particularly like myself as a person. I carry a huge amount of regret about how I think I have been in the past with people, in particular roles in my professional life and my private life. And when I'm in a low mood like I am at the moment, it's very easy for me to really hate myself. And this is not to diminish people with Tourette's in any way whatsoever, but I end up with Tourette-like outbursts where I will grimace or shout out, literally shout out a curse against myself. I'll curse myself as an unbidden memory, you know, floods into my mind about something that I feel I've done wrong, whether it's a wrong I think against somebody else or a wrong in any form of, you know, that I conducted in my past. So much so that, you know, my profanities against myself are very violent. You know, I would never think of saying such profanities towards any other person, and yet I will say it to myself. You know, calling myself a cunt and fucking cunt and really hating myself. And when I'm like that, it's difficult. It is very difficult for me to like myself, to begin to like myself again. And it's hard work to see the positive in myself. Yeah, so my sense of self at the moment is one of dislike and very low opinion. And it's easy then for myself to think that, you know, I'm a waste of space and that I deserve very little in life. But the thing is, my therapy that I recently undertook has helped me overcome those beliefs, and I know that that's my depression telling me that I'm like that. So right now I'm in that midst of I guess turmoil, you know, that kind of struggle really. The internal dialogue that I constantly find myself living with, where I'm searching for some good within myself, from where I can build a positive picture and a sense of positivity and begin to see a way forward. I'm sure it will come right. I'm sure it will come right, and I'm confident that that the work I did recently will stand me in good stead. You know, it's just a tough time right now, and I think the catalyst from last weekend has been a particularly potent one. Suicide, the thought of suicide is still there within me, and I need to get to grips with that. I need to get to a point in my life where it is no longer an option. It will never be an option, and it worries me that somehow it's still there in my mind, and feels like it's part of my fibre. Here's the wash from the ferry. I guess there's an element of loneliness in my life at the moment. I think for many people, like many people, I'm not the only person. Because of COVID, not being able to meet up with friends, and certainly not being able to meet my wider family. And although, you know, Karen and I are obviously a very happy couple, we're very happy with each other's company, and we delight in each other's company. I do miss sharing time with people who I can talk to, particularly friends who understand me, and friends who aren't shy to ask me about my mental health, and are not afraid of asking those questions where the answers may be quite introspective and deep at times. I suppose that's one reason why I decided to make these films. It feels like I can share, you know, and that can only be good for me, I think. Although unfortunately it's obviously not a two-way process. I'm unable to hear back from you what your observations are, and your understanding of my words are So there we are. That's where I'm at the moment, and pretty flat, I guess. Not very upbeat at all today. I think, you know, I have to accept that that I'm going to face these moments in my life. That my depression is part of me, and that I have a relationship with depression, and that there are going to be times when I'm going to be challenged with my depression, and as part of my depression I have thoughts of suicide. It's but it's understanding that even though I may have thoughts of suicide, it's not as if I'm going to act on them. But if I leave it unchecked, or if I don't challenge myself, then those thoughts may take root and my depression deepen, and then I find myself back where I was, you know, in the middle of last year, or worse still, you know, a year or so ago, back when when I did make an attempt to take my life. It would be lovely to think that that one day I'm totally cured, and that depression is never part of my life again. But right now I think I just have to live with it as a part of me, and have a robust relationship with it. I think one of the things is, and I've said this before, is having the ability to sit with the discomfort. And that's one of the things I've learned through sea kayaking, is that you know, I am pretty good at sitting with the discomfort, because I have the knowledge that the discomfort isn't interminable, that it will one day or one moment come to an end, that there'll be a moment when the discomfort will ease and the conditions will lessen, and I'll become comfortable again. And so I do understand that that it will not last forever, that this discomfort will not last forever. And that's the relationship I have with my depression. I have an ability to sit with the discomfort. But when I'm feeling discomforted like I am at the moment, it's not nice, and I hate it. And I hate myself. And when I hate myself, it's... yeah, I hate myself. Simple as that. So I think I'll end this video here. There's no point in talking anymore, I don't think. It's been good to be open with you and honest, and I'm pleased that I have been. I'm pleased with myself that I have been. It would be easy for me to just make videos where I'm having a good time all the time, and having all these exciting experiences in my kayak, or whatever it is I might be doing here on the Isle of Mull. But I am a man who lives with very tricky depression, treatment resistant depression. I am very fortunate to have wonderful psychiatric care, and you know, and very fortunate to have the ability to turn to the professionals whenever I need. and I'm very fortunate to actually have the insights that I do that enable me to challenge myself and yeah, to work at keeping myself well. So thank you for listening, and I'm okay. I'm keeping safe. I'm not in need of any emergency intervention at all. My wife knows how I feel. You know, my family know how I feel. So and so now you know how I feel. But I hope that by being honest, that there may be some help that I offer to other people as well, and offer you greater insight into what it is to be with depression, fight depression, overcome depression. So I'm going to head back, and I'm looking forward to making some more beads today. I've ordered some more bracelet materials, so I'll be making more bracelets today, so that's what I'm looking forward to. So thanks very much, as always, for watching my films, and I know it's been a difficult subject today, but if you do think the film's worth it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to stay in touch and see more of what I have to offer, then please subscribe to my channel, and that'll be helpful for me as well. Just helps me grow my channel and eventually reach a wider audience. So thanks very much, and all the very best to you.